Okay, so today we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 dudes in the park at the same time, so changes everything because now we all need to be really careful with our video. Flying with a lot of people, complicated, it can be done, but when you have DJI and analog, it gets a bit more sketchy than just everybody going to 25 milliwatts on raceband. Because typically that's what you do with analog quads. If you have analog quads, just put everyone on 25 milliwatts, put them on raceband. You can usually get 7 at a time because raceband 7 and 8 kind of clash a bit. So you can do 5 at a time. No, wait. 8 minus 1 is 7. You can do 7 quads at a time on raceband with 25 milliwatts usually. Although you'll still get guys, depending on the VTX they're using, when guys plug in, they'll temporarily blank out the guys next to them. So the second thing normally is plug-in etiquette. However, if you have like a TBS VTX or a good VTX, that generally doesn't happen because they have clean switch. So I've been able to fly like with TBS guys plugging in right next to each other on 800 milliwatts and whatever, and no problems at all. So it's really hard to figure out. When you add DJI into the mix, on top of that, it gets crazier because DJI like has 2 signals coming from the quad and it's shooting out stuff from the goggles too. And DJI seems to be a bit noisier on the frequency. And that's not to hate on the DJI quads either because they suffer as well. Analog can knock out DJI. And when analog knocks out a DJI guy, if that DJI guy is running his like control and video on the same channel and he gets knocked out, he loses his sight and control of his quad. So that can suck as well. So, you know, we haven't really figured out the ideal way here to deal with that whole situation, meaning the analog plus HD combined. Generally, the way I do it is, you know, I let everyone fly and I just scan through channel by channel on my goggles to see like what channels people are on, and then I can also see what channels are noisy, and I'll then try and slide in on a clean empty channel. So of course you try and ask people what channel they're on, but failing that, you can sit there with your goggles and just sort of inspect things like very casually by yourself. I'm hearing static. So that is one way where you can even get around the DJI thing. DJI, the telltale DJI interference is like you'll get these horizontal lines going across your video. And that's, you know, a DJI guy stomping on your video. So you can usually see that in the static though, because if the DJI guy's plugged in and you see those lines in the static, just go to another channel that's clean, snow, adjust your quad to that channel and you should be good to go. Having said that, that's not a perfect solution. The other thing we've done to our poor DJI guys, we stuck them all the way over in the corner. So one guy, like on the Armattan team, mentioned that you should separate DJI from analog by about 6 meters, and for whatever reason, that does seem to work very well in my experience, although I haven't scaled that up. So with 2 DJI quads, as long as they're sitting far away from the analog dudes, it seems to not be as much of a problem. So yeah, videos all over the place today, basically for myself, for the other guys probably as well. I've just switched my quad to race 8 because that channel looked clean in my goggles. So I did it when no one's around. That brings me to the topic of my VTX. So normally I run TBS VTXs because they're the best in terms of RF signal, but recently I swapped to the Rush tank. And I found that the durability of these Rush tanks is no better than the TBS stuff. I'm just breaking VTXs for whatever reason. What I do like about these things is they perform well and they have a mic. But most of all, I can look at this thing and with a glance, I can tell what channel I'm on, what band I'm on, and what power I'm running. So here it's green, I'm on 25. So if I want to amp this power up, I just hit that back button, bop, 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 and I'm cycling through my power with one touch. If I want to change my band, which is the blue lights, I long press, and I long press, and I long press, and that'll change through my bands. And therefore, if I'm on race band, which I am now, I can see that I am on race 8 because I have 4 solid lights. So on the Rush, every light basically represents 2 channels. So you'll have blinking, which is 1, and solid, which is 2nd. So for example, as you can see here with the blue, the band is on the blue, and with the band I have 1, 2 lights, that means 4 channels, plus a blinking one, that means 5 channels. So I can see directly here that I'm on race 5 and channel 8, and I'm on 25 milliwatts just at a glance. And where that becomes really valuable is in a situation like now. So when you have like a bunch of different quads around, being able to respect everyone's video is really important, but also being able to control your own video is really important. Like if you show up and you don't know how to change channels on your VTX, or if your VTX is really hard to change channels on, then you basically can cause problems for other guys. So the polite thing to do is wait till people are landed, sort out all the video, and then just fly. But in practice, one guy's up flying and the other guy is here and there, and it's just tough, man. There's a lot of stuff going on, everyone wants to fly. So I don't know, in terms of ease of use, I really love that Rush VTX. It's great, but it's not any more durable than the TBS. So I was complaining about breaking the TBS, what was it, the Unified Pro, the big one that looks like a sandwich. I forget the name of it. Really awesome performing VTX. What I didn't like about that is that the plugs break a lot, which breaks the VTX, and the microphone breaks a lot too. Like the microphone stops working, and so that really annoyed me. So I switched to the Rush Tank just to have a microphone and a decent VTX that wouldn't break. Unfortunately, it turned out that yeah, the mic works great, but the VTX is not that friggin' durable. I've direct soldered mine. So my Rush is actually direct soldered because I didn't want to be breaking plugs or anything. It's direct soldered, right? And I've broken about 2 of these so far in like maybe a month and a half, just from hard crashes. And you can debate about how my thing is mounted here. It has a bit of flex and all that, but the bottom line is I'm just still breaking VTXs. I don't know what to do about that. Having said that though, what I do like about the Rush is the usability of it, particularly in a situation like this, because with the TBS, like I'm a button guy, I don't have the smart audio, so I have to like go in and change all those buttons manually. With the TBS, you need to hold down, go through one menu, then you have to hold down, go into the next menu, and that just takes time and it's annoying. Even the guys that are running smart audio though, like that still takes time, because the guy's got to go into his Betaflight OSD, fiddle around with shit, or you've got to go into a Lewis script and fiddle around with it. So look, there's no perfect way around video. I like the simplicity of buttons myself because it's just easy to wire up. But yeah, man, video etiquette is a thing. So like when people get talking about we want to have more people flying and all that, yeah, I get why you'd want that, but from experience, man, it's just really sketchy. And what ends up happening is like people end up getting frustrated. Like when videos, like the way I like to think about it is humans are humans and physics is physics. When you have a lot of different quads in the air sharing the airwaves, you're gonna have stuff happen for whatever reason. And it's not only because people on the wrong video, but it's like people plugging in maybe different kinds of VTXs. So the whole communication thing is always difficult, just because people want to show up and fly. So like if you want to fly a lot of people at the same time, I think that the only real way to do it is hardcore discipline, and you've got to like take turns and share channels, and you've got to like, I don't know, have like signal flags and a board and all. You seriously have to organize it. That's the only way it works out. Otherwise it's a bit of a crapshoot. And not only does it become frustrating when you're flying around and some guy stomps on your video by accident, but it can be messed up as well. Like these trees here, right? Like where that guy crashed. Oh, he's lucky he fell to the ground. But if we crash up in these trees, we can't get our quads back. Like even with a picker pole, I even have an extension pole to get quads, but there's a limit to how high we can go, right? So basically, if someone steps on your video goes blank and you're in the wrong place and you whack your quad into a tree, the guy can lose his quad. So I'm not saying it's like impossible or bad or whatever. I'm just saying it's difficult. If you want to fly a lot of people at the same time, you need that video discipline. It's just the way it is. It's just the limitations of the technology. So when I talk about discipline, it means like check the channels in your goggles, you know, ask, like before you decide what channel you're flying, check to make sure that channel is empty. Ask everyone what they're flying. And it's a good rule of thumb to test that out in practice. And if worst comes to worst, take turns, you know, share the channel, take turns, whatever. And that's it, man. And now, for some stupid ass reason, this hero is like switching off in midair. So I'm gonna fly the session, which has inferior video, but whatever.